Are you tired of toiling away in your business, trying to figure out where your next client's going to come from? Or maybe you're just so busy trying to deal and service all your clients that you're feeling burnt out and run down and feel like that you can't make a change because if you've got so many balls in the air that if you drop one, everything is going to come crashing down, right? Maybe also you're just like just over it, right? Just feeling like, oh, I'm not excited about my business anymore. What I'm doing is boring, it's repetitive, and you're just like, it's hard to remember why you got into the wellness field in the first place, right? So this is what I'm going to share with you. All right, I was in your position a few years ago. I used to, I ran a fitness studio, and I remember sitting there one day all alone. Clients had left, and I was just perplexed, right? Like I'd gotten into this field in this industry because I wanted to help people. I wanted to serve people. I wanted to help people, be better and get fit and be, be great and be healthier. But the minutia of running the business, and I was just getting so bored, and it was beginning to get too much, and I felt like all the tactics out there that had been shown to get people in the door just weren't working for me. And if I'm being really honest, the reason they weren't working was because they weren't really in alignment with what I thought people needed, right? Instead, it was this like gimmicky, short-term thing that didn't really get people the results that they needed, and I didn't believe in it. But this is what everybody was telling me I needed to do, even people I paid to tell me to do, and I followed the steps, and to be honest, like it worked okay, but it never felt 100% right. So if you're looking for a way to get clients that you really love to work with, to feel excited in your business again, and stop worrying about how you're going to get more people and to do it in a way that feels good to you, then keep watching, because I'm going to share with you the 3 shifts that I made that completely changed my business. And honestly, when I made these shifts, I made more in 1 week than I did that entire month. All right, and I haven't looked back. So, number 1, all right, flip the script. All right, so now what does that mean? Flip the script. I flipped the script. I started doing the opposite of what everybody else was doing. Now I know this sounds crazy, but everybody out there was doing these short-term challenges, these like these free offers, and I was like, none of that. One, it was a waste of time, right? Like I was dealing with people that I didn't want to deal with. And sometimes like that happens, but it was just too much, right? Like I didn't want to talk to somebody else who wasn't qualified. So that just didn't work for me. So instead I started doing the opposite. Instead of doing something where I was, doing what's called a low barrier to entry offer, where you did like something free up front or something very low cost. Instead, I just charged a lot of money, right? I created a program that was $3,000 up front. Now, I know for some of you, there's little voices in your head that are screaming, that are like, what? Right? Like, how do you do that? Instead, but there is a process that you go through that you can get new clients in at the high price level. You can totally do it, all right? And it's not something that, it's not, you don't have to be super slick. It doesn't require a ton of technology. All it requires is a belief that you can do it, all right? And some good sales skills, right? And all those things can be learned, right? And what happened when I made that switch, right? Number 1 thing was I was making more money, right? Crazy to imagine, but yeah, like I mentioned, I made more in a week than I did that entire month. The second thing that happened was my clients got amazing results. And this one kind of surprised me because I wasn't quite expecting that, but they did. And the reason why, looking back on it, was because they were fully invested and they committed. Right? Now, people are going to talk all day and say they're committed, but they're not committed until they pay for something. Right? So my clients got crazy results. And the third thing that happened was that I was getting more referrals. This is actually the third and fourth thing, more referrals. And people were staying on for my monthly program at a much higher rate. Like my conversion rate was upwards of 85-90%. And the reason why is because they got their results up front, right? They made a big investment up front, and then going on to my monthly program, which was obviously less money, was super easy. It was a no-brainer at that point, right? And they got great results, they had great community, and they had a great experience. And what that allowed me to do was to create an unparalleled experience for them. See, when you charge high ticket, when you do high ticket up front, what happens is you then have the capital to invest in your clients. You have the capital to invest in your class. So it was easy in your staff. So it was easy to send them gifts, right? It was easy to pay my staff a little bit more to make sure that they were delivering an amazing experience. Instead, if you're just scrounging around for every $67, $97 person, it becomes much harder, right? And because you're like, there's that resistance, that like hope, and then like the little bit, honestly, like fear, like, I hope someone else signs up. I hope someone else signs up. And I know it seems crazy, and I know this because that was me. It seems crazy to charge someone $3,000 for a short-term program, right? And again, it wasn't a long-term program. It was, 8 weeks, 90 days maximum, right? But I promise you, it was actually easier. I'm gonna let you sit with that for a second, right? It was actually easier to sell somebody and to enroll somebody in a $3,000 program than it was a $97 program, right? And if at the very least, in the beginning, it was the same amount of work, right? It was the same amount of work. If you sit down and have this conversation with somebody for $100 as you do for $3,000, you're still having that conversation, right? So flip the script, right? Don't be afraid to do something different. And if you are afraid, you have to look at that fear, right? Like, what is it that you're really afraid of when it comes to charging that amount of money, right? And, for my clients that I work with now, it's going to be a bunch of things, right? Like, all these little voices are going to come up, especially if you have anything around money, around your own worth, around your own value. It's going to come up. That's natural. That's okay. But if you can work through it, you are golden. And then what happens, right? You set yourself apart. You set yourself apart from everybody else who is, who's doing all those things that we mentioned before, who's doing the low barrier offers. And you become known as the person who's up here, as opposed to the person who's down here doing what everybody else knows, right? Like, would you rather be the Rolls Royce, or would you rather be the, Pinto, right? It's up to you. Or the Maserati versus the Civic. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. There's fine. Like, there's people at both ends and even in the middle. All right? Like, there's people in all those markets. You just have to decide, right? And if you're tired of always running around chasing after people, if you feel like you're delivering a lot to your clients, but they're not necessarily getting the results or doing what you say, right? Isn't that the worst? Like, you tell them to do something, they told you they wanted you to tell them to do it, and then they don't do it. Like, that sucks, right? Guess what goes away when you charge more money? People start listening to you. I promise you. I know, it sounds crazy, but it's true. All right? So flip the script. Do the opposite. And do what you really feel people need. You don't have to do the gimmicky things that aren't really going to serve clients at the highest level, right? Decide that you're going to serve people at the highest level, because isn't that the reason that you got into this in the first place? Now, sure, you can do this because you want to make a quick buck, maybe, but it's a whole hell of a lot of work to, get certified and learn all the things that you have to learn in order just to make some quick money. No, you're in this because you want to help people, right? And to really help people, they need to listen to what you say, right? It's magic. It's kind of crazy, but it's true. Now, second thing you got to do, all right, is learn to listen to what your client isn't saying. All right. Now, I'm going to say something, and it might throw you off, but I want you to stick with me. All right? Your clients are lying to you. Right? Now, I don't mean this in a malicious way. I don't mean this in like they're deliberately trying to deceive you. No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is when you are talking to clients, the first thing, if you're doing a consultation or assessment or whatever you're doing, the first thing that they say to you isn't the truth. All right? 9 times out of 10, if a client comes to you because they're like, oh, I want to, lose weight, or I want to feel better. Like, yeah, that's like this level answer, but that's not the real truth. Right? 9 times out of 10, the real truth, the real reason they're coming for you is because they're not happy with the version of themselves that they're being right now in their life. And what that really means is that they have a belief that they are not enough. Not good enough, not smart enough, not thin enough, not healthy enough, maybe not pretty enough, not well enough, not fit enough, not flexible enough, right? And when you can speak to them at that level where they are, where you're speaking to the true reason why they're here, not the top reason here, but the true reason that they are there, they're sold, right? Because we all know the truth. We can sense the truth. We know it. We feel it, right? And when you connect with somebody on that truth level, then you're connected, right? Like you're connected forever. Like I know you've all had a conversation with somebody where you didn't know them before, but then there's something about the truth that they speak to you. And it's not just surface. Like you get that feeling they're not just talking to the surface, right? So that's what you have to learn how to do. You have to learn to listen to what your client is not saying. Listen to what they're not telling you, and listen for the truth. And when you can do that, like you've got real connection. Now, there's a process, right, that you can go through. There's a series of questions that you can ask clients to get to that level of connectedness and truth. And to be honest, it takes a little bit of bravery, right? Like you have to be brave. You have to be willing to ask the hard questions, right? To ask the questions that might be a little bit uncomfortable. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and we're talking about how, as wellness professionals, we can only take people as far as we're willing to go. So if you aren't willing to, look at like your stuff and what you got going on, then there's no way. If you're not willing to be truthful about you and what's going on and your stuff, there's no way you're going to be able to have these conversations with your potential clients. All right? I guarantee you it's so much easier to sell high-ticket programs if you're real, right? And if you're real with yourself. And you gotta be real with yourself first in order to get real with somebody else. All right, now the third thing you gotta do is you gotta make sure that you own and know your own value. Right, now I know that gets thrown around a lot, like own your value, own your worth. And the reason why, it's because it's true, right? It's true. So as wellness professionals, whether you're a chiropractor, a yoga instructor, or Pilates instructor, or health coach, there's a tendency to listen to that little voice in your head that says, we're not enough, right? Like I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't know enough, right? The same things your clients may be dealing with, a little bit different aspect, but generally the same, right? And so we think like, oh, that result I got for help my client get wasn't really good enough, right? Or it's not that big of a deal. So I made their pain go away. Like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. And now they can touch their toes, and that's not that big of a deal, But no, it is a big deal, right? Like you're literally saving people from a lifetime of pain, of aching, of like being a not as good a version of themselves. That's a big deal. Like you're literally changing people's lives. And so to own that for real, to really step into that and not to just wash it over as if it's just like an everyday occurrence is key if you want to be successful and you want to have high-end offers and high-end programs in your practice. Right? You gotta own it. I talk to people all the time, and they talk about how, this person, like, they're not walking around with that knee pain that they used to do. I took them through my program and my series, and they don't have that knee pain. Do you know how big a deal that is, right? Like, someone doesn't have knee pain. What else is happening in their life, right? They're walking better. When you're not in pain anymore, what are you more confident, right? You're changing your mindset, your mind around what is possible for you, right? If you've been living with pain for years, you think like there's a dampening, a deadening on the possibilities that you can create in your life. When all of a sudden you're pain free, like what is that? Like all these possibilities open up, right? Like that is not a small thing. Right? And if you don't own your value, if you don't know your worth, how can you expect your potential clients to value you either? Right? So you have to own that. Right? Know that what you do, know that the transformation, that if you are creating or helping people to create a better version of themselves, then you're a world changer, right? Like you're not just changing people's lives, you're changing the world. Which is why I'm talking to you, right? People who want to change the world, people who are working on changing people's lives, like you can't die out, right? Like we can't let it go. We can't get bogged down in the minutia or the grind of running a business, right? Or being out there or doing our craft. No, we have a duty to serve at the highest level, right? And the way that you do that is by owning your value, by creating high impact, high transformation, high quality, high ticket transformation programs. All right? So if you want help with that, right, send me a message. Click the link, if there's a link on this video, and I will work with you. And we will map out your transformation program. All right? We'll map it all out. We'll figure out exactly what it should look like and how much you should charge. All right? I've been doing this for years, so I know what's possible. Right? So I'm happy to talk. Shoot me a message. Click the link if there's a link. If I get it together, no, click a link. All right? And we'll talk. We'll map out your high ticket program. We'll get you set so that you can fall in love with your business again. So that you can really create the impact that you know that you're meant to create. Because I know that you can.